Welcome to the Gray Area. Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. Appreciate everyone subscribing to my YouTube channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. The Dallas Mavericks fall 116-104 to the Utah Jazz for their third consecutive loss. The Utah Jazz used terrific performances from Jordan Clarkson, who had 31 points in 33 minutes. Rudy Gobert, 29 points along with 20 rebounds. Joe Ingles made 7 3-pointers to score 21 points of his own. Mike Conley also on a plus 14, plus minus scored 17 points. Luka Doncic did have 30 points of his own, but a lot of that came in the second half where it really did not matter. In fact, here's Luka Doncic talking about the performance of the team last night, a team that defensively was not very good. And here's what Luka Doncic says the Mavericks need to do to improve, to break this 3-game losing streak.
I don't know what to say. There's a lot of things wrong, we just not ourselves right now, and we're going to pick it up and be way better than this.
Yeah, you have follow-up?
Also, I'm sure it's nice to have those Josh and those guys back. But what kind of adjustments are you guys going through, or will you go through? Kind of starting over with new rotations and all that.
We just got to play harder. That's it. Just bring more energy and play hard.
So Luka Doncic saying this team needs to play harder, play with more energy, and that's exactly what the Mavericks did not play with against the Utah Jazz, especially in the first half where they gave up 69 points after giving up 70 points to the Denver Nuggets in the first half in their last game. And obviously during this 3-game losing streak, they have been victimized by poor defense against the Houston Rockets. You had a guy in DeMarcus Cousins who had 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 assists. A guy in Michael Porter Jr. in the Nuggets game had 30 points off the bench. And then Jordan Clarkson, who leads the NBA in bench scoring, a leading 6th Man of the Year candidate, comes in and scores 31 points in 33 minutes and did a lot of his damage, especially in the first half, specifically in the second quarter. And a team that finally saw the return of Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Dwight Powell did not have their legs under them in their first game back. Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Richardson both missing 9 games apiece. Obviously, with Dwight Powell, he missed 8 games. This is a team that is still trying to get themselves back together in terms of its continuity, its consistency, and its communication, which was lacking severely in a game against a Utah Jazz basketball team that runs one of the best offensive sets in the NBA consistently all over the basketball court. And you saw the pick and roll that the Joe Ingles, Rudy Gobert combination was running, looking like the second coming of John Stockton and Karl Malone. They picked and rolled the Dallas Mavericks to death all night long for easy layups, dunk lobs, everything that the Utah Jazz wanted to get offensively, they were able to get, especially in that first half where they were hitting threes all over the place on their offensive side. And defensively, the communication was not very good throughout the night for the Dallas Mavericks. You can't necessarily win a basketball game in the first half, but you sure can lose one. And that's exactly what Rick Carlisle talked about after the game, talking about what happened during the first half. Here is Coach Rick Carlisle talking about what happened in the first half that really sunk the Mavs in this game against the Utah Jazz.
The first half was the killer. We didn't come out with enough force, enough disposition, energy. They were great, and we did not play well.
So Rick Carlisle understanding that the first half was not very good at all, especially on the defensive end. Kristaps Porzingis, who, yes, had 18 points, but was a negative 24 in plus-minus, did not play well defensively at all. And what was concerning about the game against the Jazz is that Rudy Gobert gets a lot of his offense off the facilitation of others. And he got into the paint at will for dunks, for layups, for lobs. Anything that the Utah Jazz wanted to run offensively, they were able to do so. And a team in the Dallas Mavericks that looked absolutely lost and just took a good old-fashioned butt-kicking from the Utah Jazz. Quinn Snyder has one of the more veteran-laden teams, especially in the Western Conference, even though they were missing Donovan Mitchell, who was out due to the health and safety protocols. the Utah Jazz did what they do best, hit the ball from the three-point line and get the ball inside to Rudy Gobert and let him go to work on the inside. Meanwhile, getting contributions from guys like Jordan Clarkson, who's a leading Sixth Man of the Year candidate, and Joe Ingles filling in for Donovan Mitchell, provided the kind of scoring, hitting 7 threes from the three-point line to give them exactly what they needed. This is a team in the Dallas Mavericks at one point was second in the NBA in defensive rating, and it seems like a mirage at this point. This is also a team, though, in the Mavs, as we keep this thing into perspective, a team that's been hit most hard by the COVID protocols with respect to the amount of key guys that they have missed on their basketball team. As we mentioned, Dorian Finney-Smith missing 9 games, Josh Richardson missing 9 games, Dwight Powell missing 8 games of his own. Maxi Kleber still out due to the health and safety protocols, although Rick Carlisle did say during the pregame that it is possible to see him back on Saturday against the Phoenix Suns. But regardless, this team doesn't need to have a bunch of guys in order to play well defensively. That can be done with the guys that they already had on the floor, which we saw earlier this year they were able to do even when missing Dwight Powell, Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Richardson, and Maxi Kleber, a team that can show during stretches that they can play well defensively, especially when they communicate well, and you did not see any of that against the Utah Jazz. Yes, Tim Hardaway played well, going 6 of 10 from the field with 19 points, but at the same time, it was not enough, especially in the first half with the way that the Dallas Mavericks played on the offensive side. It is important going forward for this Mavericks team to develop the chemistry and continuity that they need to, especially as they get their guys back, and that will only come with game time and floor preparation, being able to play together. They've talked about it quite a bit, that the idea, look, the only way you can get into game shape is by playing NBA games. You could tell, even playing at altitude, that Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Richardson, and Dwight Powell simply do not have their legs under them yet. And as Rick Carlisle has talked about, it's going to be a gradual process getting these guys back acclimated not only to the NBA game, but the rigors of the schedule that they played so far. This is a team that's played 12 road games in this young season so far. 12 out of their 18 games have been on the road. This is a team that's looking to get back home, especially in February, where they have a stretch where they play 11 of 13 games at home. Well, you say, Kevin, this team hasn't been very good at home. They've actually been better on the road. But getting the consistency and continuity and communication corrected, a lot of that can be solved potentially by getting some home games and being able to be in a comfortable spot where they're not having the rigorous road schedule that they've been on, not to mention the fact that they've been dealing with the health and safety protocols that they've been dealing with so far this year. Here is Kristaps Porzingis talking about some of that in terms of gaining that chemistry on and off the court in the ways that they can, given the situation that they're dealing with in terms of COVID-19 and how that can help this team be better going forward. Here's Kristaps Porzingis after the game.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that chemistry yet that we're looking for. We don't have our roles clear, I think. And we're just kind of out there playing, and you know, we're a talented group, but until we, you know, have everybody playing and playing together and having also some time together off the court, I think we won't really have that chemistry. So just a rough night for us, and I think we got to start with realizing who we are, realizing our roles each individually, and that's it. Move forward. Keep talking about things that we need to work on, that we need to how we need to utilize our players, and that's it. And grow and keep growing. So hopefully we head in that direction.
So Kristaps Porzingis talking about what needs to happen with respect to on and off the court chemistry and having their roles defined. And that is really concerning when you hear Kristaps Porzingis talk about how guys need to understand what their roles are. These guys should know what their roles are at this point, especially when you're taking the superstar lead from Luka Doncic. We know what Dorian Finney-Smith and what Dwight Powell and Josh Richardson are supposed to bring on the defensive end. Kristaps Porzingis is supposed to be the guy that's another scorer that can not only get his own shot inside the paint, but more so on the defensive end, be a shot blocker and a shot alterer and being able to do that with consistent regularity. And right now, it just seems like this Mavericks team is lost on both the offense and defensive side of the basketball, especially defensively. You cannot have the kinds of breakdowns and communication against a really solid offensive team in the Utah Jazz who did exactly what they like to do, especially what you've seen from them this season. A team that averages 16 threes made in the NBA this year, a team that likes to get points in the paint with Rudy Gobert, a team that runs clean offensive sets, and you have to have good communication and understanding of what you're doing against this team. Otherwise, they're going to pick and roll you to death the way that they did consistently in that basketball game, leading to 116 points. Again, all the talk this offseason and into the season was what the Mavericks needed to do from a defensive standpoint. And now this team is 19th in the NBA in defensive rating, which is obviously in the bottom half of the NBA when you're talking about all 30 teams in this league. So in order for this Mavericks team to get back on track, what they have got to do first and foremost is play with the energy and focus and communication that they are normally accustomed to on the defensive end. And then secondly, find a way to get these guys healthy and get more continuity with respect to what they do on both ends of the floor. And again, that only comes with time and their ability to have floor time together. So for Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Richardson, and Dwight Powell, getting their legs under him as they play more and more games will hopefully allow this team to have the continuity and chemistry that they thought that they were going to have going into this season, which obviously will bode well for them, especially when they have an opportunity to play more games at home to be in a more comfortable environment. But for now, the Utah Jazz have now won 10 straight basketball games, are 14-4 on the season. The Mavericks have lost now 3 straight games. They stay in Utah to play the Utah Jazz on Friday before coming home to take on the Phoenix Suns on Saturday, another tough test against guys like Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and others. But for now, the Mavericks are going to have to really figure things out from a defensive standpoint and get back to what they were earlier this season when this team at one point was second in the NBA in defensive rating, and they were taking the onus and leadership from their superstar in Luka Doncic, who, yes, is having to do everything for this basketball team, averaging a near triple-double on the season for this Mavericks team, but he is going to need some serious help from other guys to be able to contribute the way that they need to in order to shoulder some of that scoring load so that, one, they can be better in terms of competing with some of these teams who are really good offensively, but more so than anything, provide them the kind of defensive presence and help and focus that they need to in order to be better on the defensive end of the basketball. The Dallas Mavericks fall 116-104 to the Utah Jazz. They will play them on Friday to try and snap their 3-game losing streak while at the same time snapping the Utah Jazz 10-game winning streak. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports, and be sure to subscribe to the 105 through the Kevin Gray Sports YouTube channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. We'll talk to you later. Peace.